Hi everyone, this is Lisa Falcon G with Universal Hidden Insight, and today I really have some deep topics I want to get into. I'm hoping this will be a little bit longer of a video, and I'm just going to kind of talk. Um, in my videos, I've done a lot on healing, I've done a lot on some really spiritual concepts. I think that stuff is really important right now because one of my main theses has become that what we're seeing in the world, what we're seeing with, just disconnection, division, all of this violence, all these acts of othering people, it all stems from what's happening from within each of us. So we have a collective, we have 8 billion people, 6 billion people right now in the world. And how these big, greater cultures take root is that we have, thousands, millions of individuals that are all aligning with that. So, like, if you look at a flock of birds, and how they all kind of move together, right? They'll move through the sky. What they're actually doing, they've done studies. What they're actually doing is every moment, each of them is making a decision. They're kind of voting. Do we go left or do we go right? And what happens is, maybe some of the birds want to go left, some of the birds want to go right, and basically it's a democracy. So basically, whichever group ends up with the higher vote, that's the direction that they'll go. So, every so often, as you see these big flocks of birds, you might see a few stray ones that kind of fly out. And I think that's what's happening in our society right now is that, there's a greater majority that is kind of driving the momentum of what we're seeing happening. Um, and this is especially so in a political sense, in a social sense. Um, and then, there's people like myself and like many others that are kind of saying, no, I'm not going to follow the status quo. I'm going to do what I believe is right. And I think that there's never been a more important time in history for us to be doing what is truly right, not what the government tells us is right, not what the laws say is right, not what society is making us feel like is right, not what we're being propagated to believe is right, but what is truly, truly right. And you cannot know that unless you're in tune with yourself. You have to be aligned from within yourself. You have to be able to go within, and you have to kind of take the incorruptible path, within yourself, the incorruptible path towards enlightenment within yourself. Without those tools, without that deeper awareness, and without keeping in track with your own, we each have a well of wisdom within us that isn't ours. It's not when I'm tapping into this for myself, it's not my wisdom. It's this greater universal wisdom that connects us all. It connects us like it does the flock of birds. It's like this instinct. Um, and we each have access to that. And it's very important that we come back to the heart. As cheesy as that sounds, when you look at what's happening at the border, it is a horrific crisis. And I don't know that I'm trained or skilled enough to bring a solution other than this is not it. Anytime we have people with such human rights violations that are happening, and they are happening, they absolutely are happening, and we can't justify that. We can't say, well, Obama did it, or, oh, well, did they come here legally? Don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole. That's so fucked up. It's just not. What we are dealing with here is people, literally children, literally families, young women, that are being held in absolutely deplorable conditions. Um, the systems that used to allow access legally, and these are people that are coming here legally, they're trying to come here through our system legally. And those venues, those outlets to be able to do that due process have been removed and stripped away and eroded. So now they're being held for really no reason other than to what? Teach them a lesson for trying to come here. It's all part and parcel of this mentality that has unfortunately come as a greater part of this administration, and this has been a long time brewing. I think for me, watching the presidential elections that led up to this lovely situation that we are now in, I really truly believe that this couldn't happen. That we couldn't have a man like that sitting in the White House in one of the most powerful seats in the world. Um, and I really wanted to believe that there was so much good, and that people were so anti-racist, and that people were so anti-sexism, and that people would that would be a deal breaker for more than enough people to keep us safe. And the real unfortunate thing that's come out of this situation is that that wasn't true. There is what everyone has been saying, what people of color have been saying for decades, what women have been saying for decades has actually been true. There is a huge foundation of this, all these isms, and it's a hateful situation. And the part of me that's spiritual has compassion for people that are not connected with themselves enough to have that much hate towards someone else that's not like themselves. But then another part of me, the activist part of me, says, no, they have thrived on our compassion, and they have thrived on our tolerance of intolerance. And, opinion is a right only as so far as it does not take away from the rights of others. And that's unfortunately been what has been the standard for passing as opinion. Well, I have a right to say what I want. I have a right to my opinion. Well, not if your opinion, quote unquote, is taking away from the rights or the good life of others, which it is so often. So, from a bigger perspective, government has unfortunately been an issue for many decades, um, in my lifetime, it definitely stems back for me when it really started to hit home during the Bush administration, and what happened in 9/11. And I go into detail in my book, my first book, with that, because that for me was a really, really paradigm shifting reality to understand when I really looked at the cold hard facts and when I really watched, I watched Loose Change. There's multiple videos that have been done very, very well to break down the many anomalies of the official story. And I truly am convinced that what we are being told is the official story is not the truth. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I'm not trying to have a popular opinion. I'm not trying to bring out what is going to be, oh yeah, that sounds great, I love that. What I'm trying to bring is truth, and what I'm asking people to do is keep an open mind, and what I'm asking people to do is research for yourself. Have a critical thinking system in place. Without those critical thinking, questioning skills, without the ability to critique what is happening in our society and the government, we are nothing more than puppets ourselves. And we are allowing our system to erode in such a way that we really truly are moving towards a despotism, a fascism, an oligarchic system that is the very few that are rich and powerful are lording over the vast majority, the 99% of the others. And this will be in large part due to not actions taken or not taken by the collective, but by awarenesses that are not had, by us not becoming aware of these bigger issues and these truths. If we look at the food systems, if we look at the water, if we look at what's happening with the oil companies, just look at what's happening with the oil companies. And this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is all verifiable fact. You can look at the fact that they've done studies and they've shown that every single corporation in the world, it basically links up to these master 126, megalithic corporations. And some of these big businesses, many of them gross more than the national gross product of many countries, which is an insane amount of power to have as far as a financial resource. So these are the people that are lobbying. These are the people that are putting out videos and comments and have teams of people that are going on and trolling good intentioned social media to kind of make people that are speaking out against it look stupid. We just have to be aware. There's so many systems in place that are kind of coming at us from many different directions, and when we're at a situation like this where everything's kind of bubbled up to the surface, I think we really have a choice to make. And that choice is, what side of history do we want to be on? History is not going to remember our names. History is going to look back on these movements. History is going to know that there was movements of peace, that there was movements that stood against the power of the corruption of these injustices. And then there's going to be, the history of what happened with, human rights abuses. And I'm sorry for, the people that have some misplaced faith in a leader such as Trump, but I certainly do not share that. Um, I don't think it's just one person, and meaning I don't think that all of these issues are his fault. Um, but he's one of the most careless, ignorant, illiterate people that have ever stood in one of the most powerful places in our country. And that's dangerous. And the hate that he has fanned the flames of is dangerous. And it has caused violence. It has caused real violence, and it has caused death. It has caused so many issues. Um, Unfortunately, the divide on just that topic alone, for Trump or against Trump, has divided families. It has divided, otherwise collective groups of people. It's divided spiritual people. There's spiritual groups of people that believe that he's a light worker. Religious people, there's religious people that believe he's like the second coming. Um, I'm so scared about that reality, that's really, really happening. And it makes me so strongly concerned that people are not. They are not going within and tapping into the truth within you, within your heart. That's you have to have a pulse check on reality, and that's not it. That's not it. This guy, you cannot be a misogynistic, racist, homophobic, sexist. You can't be those things and be any kind of savior. Um, it's I don't know how to spell that out any better than that. I think one of the most important things is that we are conscious within ourselves, independently conscious. Do your own research. Don't listen, turn off the news. Read articles from many different perspectives, from many different points of view, from many different outlets. Do your own speaking with people. If you don't understand something, speak to the people that are experiencing it. Watch videos. Vice has a great system where they really truly have independent reporting. It's not like how it used to be, where you can turn on the news and watch a story about what is happening. It's no longer what is happening. Now what we see on the news is people's opinions about what is happening, and it's an ultra-left opinion about what is happening and an ultra-right opinion about what is happening, and then those two point of views arguing. We're never going to get a balanced, fair state of awareness about what's truly going on from a vantage point like that. Um, there is such a thing as not being ultra this or ultra that, to be in the center, to be having common sense, common decency. Um, and that's what we need to strive for. That's so important. So I think that's really the message that I wanted to bring out of this video. I have so much more to say on this topic, but I think that's enough for today. Let's just sit with that. Keep an open mind, have critical thinking, be aware of the systems in place that are trying to manipulate what you think. There's literally millions, maybe billions, that are being spent on manipulating what we think and corralling what we think. Let's just move them all over here, and it's effective. That's the scary thing, is that it is effective, even in people that are aware that that's happening. So be ultra aware as much as possible. I'm going to be holding some free meditation sessions to teach people to meditate in the local Rochester, New York area. So if you're local, look out for that. They're going to be spontaneous. It's something that I'm hoping will give people more tools to access that inner state, to connect with that higher awareness that's so fundamental to having a right mind and having a right heart and having right thinking and right action. So, all right, everybody, I hope you have an amazing weekend, an amazing day, and keep your eyes open, keep your heart open.